Alright guys, good morning. We're going to get started. I'm going to start off with a brief introduction of our guest, Ogechi Musa. So, Ogechi Musa was born in 1992 in a 7-member Nigerian family in Connecticut. She was always interested in acting and writing throughout childhood and dreamed of having a career in the filmmaking industry. Due to cultural pressures of receiving the highest education as a first-generation American, these hidden dreams were secretly pursued at Watkinson School, where we met, through theater, acting, improv classes, and creative writing courses. Upon moving to Boston to attend Boston College, where she studied neuroscience and psychology, she continued to write plays, take acting courses, act and produce campus web series, and local Boston plays. In Boston, her writing career started to take off as her plays were selected and featured in local and school arts festivals. Furthermore, she was introduced to the indie filmmaking world in Boston during her year off of college. In Boston, she wrote, produced, directed, and starred in her debut feature film about police brutality, Friction. This film was a finalist in the World Film Fair in New York, was an official selection in the Austria International Film Festival, and won Best Feature in the Cinema LA Film Festival. It was also pre-selected for other renowned film festivals. Furthermore, Musa won Best Actress for her performance in Friction at the Austria International Film Festival. Since then, she has continued her career as a writer, producer, director, and has numerous productions completed. Musa is now living in Los Angeles, continuing her rise as a social conscious filmmaker. We are so lucky to have her here with us. Please give Ogechi a warm welcome.
Good morning, everyone. How you guys doing? Good. What grades are you guys in? Juniors. Okay, so it's like college season, huh? Applications, all that good stuff. All right, well, good luck. No, it's okay. You're going to get through it. Thank you, Liz. That's a great introduction. I just want to start with giving you guys a little bit more details about my journey to filmmaking, because it started exactly where you guys are right now, in high school. And it was such a journey discovering my voice, which is what we're going to be doing today. Just really exploring the inner self and just trying to come to terms with who you are and what you want to do. Because this is the pivotal time in your lives right now, as you all have been hearing from your parents and teachers, that it's going to potentially dictate the rest of your path. With that being said, I'll just chat a little bit about my history. So at Hopkins, I tore my ACL and my MCL and my meniscus my freshman year. And that's where things turned, because I was on a path, a pre-med path. My parents always, I was the doctor of the family. I'm one of 5 children, and I'm Nigerian American. So I was born here, but my parents are immigrants. So one thing that they held really strong, cultural, that's the core of the culture, is education. So that's all I knew. That's it. I was the doctor of the family, And basically my parents had painted this portrait of who they wanted me to be. Who can relate to that? Anyone? Raise your hands. Everyone, come on. You don't have that? That's good. Thank you for your honesty. And it's okay if that's not your case. That's awesome, actually. If you are, confident in what you're doing and it's your own decision, great, you're already there. If you're not, it's okay. Because parents are doing that out of care. We get it. But what's more important is yourself. Because at the end of the day, who's going to be looking at that portrait every day? You are. So if it's your parents' portrait, if it's not your own strokes, it's not you. So that's one thing that I discovered when I tore my ACL, my MCL, my meniscus. I wanted to act. Always had these hidden dreams, always wrote in my little journal. I actually found a journal when I was home for Christmas. I was like 10 years old writing Hitchcock 2. I don't know if you remember Will Smith in this horrible Superman movie. Yeah, I wrote the second one. I'm like, what? This is better than the first. Okay. So it's always was there. There was always that passion. There was always that need for more, not just doing what my parents wanted me to do, not just studying biology. I always needed more. So when I tore my ACL, my meniscus, this drama teacher, she asked if I wanted to audition for the One Acts. And that's when it happened. I auditioned and she was just like, what's going on here? And it's funny because she always told me that athletes are one of your most talented actors were the athletes. And I didn't truly understand that, but when you're in high school, you kind of morph into the painting of what your parents have painted for you, as well as your peers. So that's one thing I also want to know with this whole workshop. It's not just your parents who are painting this portrait of you. It's going to be your friends. It's going to be your boss in the future. It's going to be the world. The world's going to think that you are something that is not your own portrait. So just remember that you need to find your own portrait. You're going to create your own strokes. So that's what we're working on today. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce one of the scenes from my film. But how I created this film, very interesting backstory. I don't have too much time today to go into it in full depth. But Friction was created by accident, believe it or not. So when I did graduate from Hopkins, I took that class and I discovered my acting dreams, and I just started doing more writing as well. And it was interesting because in high school, there was one teacher who really encouraged my writing. And that's what really made me believe in myself. It's kind of unfortunate, but it's also life. You have to believe in yourself first, but sometimes it's going to take someone else to believe in you in order to see that you actually have talent. And that was the case in high school. So listen to your teachers. Listen to them. If they're telling you that that's a great A, you know that it's not just an A, they really believe you can do it and that you're doing it, great. Because that's all I needed when I was a senior. Because then when I went into college, I kind of had that background already. I'm like, okay, I think I'm good at writing. All right. I think I have some things with acting because I was casted and a teacher believed in it. So college, college. It's a very interesting place just because there's going to be a lot of different portraits you're going to encounter of yourself. And it might not necessarily be your portrait, and that's going to be okay. You're going to make decisions that peer pressure, that's going to happen. You're going to find yourself looking at yourself and not recognizing yourself. That might happen. And that's what happened to me. I turned up all the way freshman year, all the way. I mean, it's ridiculous. I just was drinking way too much. I did a lot of things, and it wasn't schoolwork. So it's, I really lost myself. And I had to take time to take myself away from the environment and that situation. So I left BC at some point, a lot of different reasons. And it was the best decision I made in my life because during that year off, that's when I started to paint my own portrait. I decided I wasn't going to live my life like my parents wanted or my friends wanted. I'm going to live my life like I wanted. But that was so hard to find. I had to hit rock bottom in order to see that I'm at the bottom in an odd way because I was doing okay in school. GPA was fine. Had a lot of friends. Was very popular, so you would never know. So not knowing yourself it really shapes a lot of things around you as well. So during that year off, I made Friction. I was approached by an artist who was releasing an album, and she asked if I wanted to join the writing team. And then I had a really good filmmaker mentor who was doing the cinematography of it, and he believed in me as well. So that's how I wrote Friction. It was inspired by a lot of things, as you'll see. And hopefully you picked it up as well. It's about police brutality. It's about a community that's fighting between approaches to change. And they're fighting between nonviolent and violent approaches. So that's today. That's yesterday. That's the future. So what I'm doing, what I love to make, is relevant artwork that impacts today. Because art is a reflection of today. And that's the whole goal, is social conscious storytelling. And you might hear that term a lot coming up, or protest art. There's been a lot of protest art recently, and Friction really embodied all of that just because I was writing from a place of anger and joy, all these different emotions. I was really just toning it in and just putting it into artwork. I was taking my scars of being a Black woman in America, of witnessing my mom go through things with my brother, of seeing George Zimmerman. We won't get political, but I'm a witness, and I spoke my testimony through my art. So it's really an important piece to me. It's really kicked off my career. And today we're just going to take a deeper look at certain scenes, as well as kind of evaluating our voice in present time. Who we want to be, and where we want our voice to go. And another huge thing is lending your voice to others, because we are all privileged, everyone in this room right now, because we're educated. So we have a duty. We have a duty. We can't do anything. You have a duty. When you're educated, you have a duty. And what that duty is, you'll figure it out, and I'm here to help you. So what we'll do right now is just watch this scene, and let me give you a little background of it. So basically, like I said, there's a lot of tension in the community right now in the film, which is not a documentary. A couple people thought it was, and I'm like, no, it's not. I'm still here. Brother's good. We're good. So anyways, in this scene, it's the open mic scene. So the whole community is coming together, and they have an opportunity to share their opinion about what's going on in their society today. Okay, so we're gonna watch this, and then I'm gonna talk a little bit afterwards, and we're gonna do this activity where we're kind of gonna explore our own voice. All right. So my character, which is Elle Jones, in this scene, she did not speak. She didn't go up there. She's a writer. She's a well-known writer in the community, and she's also a social activist. And everyone kind of looks up to her. All the younger ones look up to her. She's kind of like the silent leader. And this is the third time that she was in this open mic, and she didn't speak. So that's one thing I wanted to highlight in this scene is the two forces here. We have the first introduction was Greg. He played Alex, and he's the politician he's trying to do good. He is. At the end of the day, he is. And then we have Marco. So Marco is the group leader, the underground group leader, who is revolting and kind of creating this band of people who are going to start fighting against police brutality in a violent approach. So we have two sides kind of talking to Elle at the same time in this scene, kind of trying to figure out what her position is and when she's going to stand up and what is she going to do with her voice. So I wanted to introduce that scene as an introduction to the voice activity that we will be doing. And basically I'm going to ask you to draw 3 images. We have some paper and pens and we'll hand them out soon. Actually, yeah, do you mind handing them out right now? Thank you. I'm going to ask you to draw 3 images. And I'm going to start this voice activity with a quick story. So, the story's about a little girl. This little girl, she's 4 years old, and her baby sister was just born. So she's 4 years old, and she has not said one word at all her whole entire life. She's a mute. So from 0 to 4, no speaking, nothing from this little girl. Her baby sister was born. Everyone loves her. She's adorable. And she starts speaking at 1. And when that 1-year-old started speaking, the 4-year-old, now 5, realized how beautiful her voice was and how everyone was drawn to it. And she was inspired to speak. So it took her 5 years, and it took her baby sister to talk before she did. That little girl was me. I didn't speak for the first 4.5 years of my life. Everyone thought there was something wrong, but I did not use my voice because my older siblings, who actually really know it's a poor reason. But until my baby sister started speaking, that's what inspired me to use my voice. So this is going to kind of be a group activity. The first picture I want you guys to draw is going to be your future voice. So you can write future on one of those pieces of paper if you don't mind. So this is your future voice. Where do you want your voice to go? Who do you want your voice to impact? What do you want your voice to be? So when I'm talking about future voice, you can always substitute with me, who I want my future me to be. So that's your future voice. So I'll give you an example. So let's say, actually I'll give you an example right now. Okay, so I did a quick example of my future voice. So it's waves, very smooth waves, one large flower kind of sticking out, and a few others. So my future voice, I want it to be this flower. I want it to be smooth and even, And I want it to stand out. I want to be heard, and I want to be seen. And I don't want any other flower to represent me. So this is kind of the idea of the pictures that we're drawing. You can do anything. You can do stick figures. You can just put words. That's okay too. What we're going to be doing with this picture, after you draw it, we're going to present it to our table. So we have to draw in silence, and then when you present, you're going to present it in silence as well. So what it's going to be, basically, let's say I was at this table, and you just tell me what you see. Just a couple of words or phrases or feelings, what you're getting from that picture. I know I kind of gave it away already, but rope, okay. So then I'm going to write down rope on the back of my picture. And how about you? So when she saw this picture, she thought of the word rope. What do you see or feel when you see this picture?
I see a flower.
Flower, okay. Rope, flower. So I'm going to write that on the back of the sheet of paper of that picture. So that's the activity. I want to give you guys some time right now to draw. Like I said, it can be very simple. Just a flower and an even ocean. And when you present in a few minutes, you're not going to say a word. You're going to hear what your peers have to say about your future voice. As you're wrapping up on your first picture, I see a lot of people are done already, so I just want to give you instructions for the second picture. So like I said, the first picture is your future voice. Now the second picture is your voice today. What is your voice now? Who are you now in the present moment? And remember, we're all working in silence. An example of the now for me, I have this picture here. My flower is engulfed by the waves. Now the pictures don't need to be connected. It's just what I just scribbled up. Sometimes my voice is rocky waves. My true opinion is not always heard, hidden by the rockiness of the waves. The instructions for the last image. You'll have a few minutes to work on all of your pictures. So the last image I want you to draw is restriction. What is restricting your now voice into becoming your future voice? So just write restrict on your third picture. What is preventing your now voice into becoming your future voice? For my third image, I have a flower in jail. And the bars represent what's restricting my voice. For me, the bar is doubt. So while you're working, I'm going to play the next scene. The next scene of friction is going to be the party scene. So the group has just increased their ranking. So basically in this community, there's a lot of different, I guess we can call them districts, that represent the different chapters of this organization that is fighting. It's basically a nonprofit organization, and they have certain social campaigns that they work on every month or so. And the current campaign is how to handle police brutality. So there's different chapters in different states, and they just increased their chapter in this specific state, so they're throwing a party to kind of just, you know, celebrate how they are increasing rank. And they increase rank because they have a couple of donations, and they're getting lobbyists to represent their cause or their campaign and whatnot. So that's the structure of the group. So in this scene, you kind of see the end of the party scene, and you see another confrontation with the chapter leader, Marco, who is about the violent approach. And there's trigger warning, talking about gun violence. Let's see here. Yeah, gun violence and killing. Are we all ready to share your photos? Yes, or your pictures rather. Okay, so let's start with the first picture, and it is the future boys. So bring out your future boys, and at your table, decide who's gonna go first, and just hold up your future boys. And then everyone at the table take turns, give words, thoughts, your whole interpretation of what that picture means to you. And whoever's presenting it, you cannot speak. You're just writing down your peers' words. Okay? Go ahead.
You can't say. Oh, yeah.
So maybe soaring.
Not really sure what it is. It's like
You guys can do it. Writing it on the back or, yeah, or a separate one.
Just trying to interpret what's that.
Start with teacher,
It
yeah.
should be open to interpretation.
I thought he had to write down what you said.
Those hours?
I don't know.
Let's ask.
Do you write down what we said? Alright, so you told me that was a rock.
So as they're letting you know, you just write it on the back or another.
It looks like
The back.
so your future.
Okay, so powerful. Nice. And then once you get just a few words, the next person can go all the way forever.
I don't get it. I don't get what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I would keywords,
I would think that
phrases,
the last one.
you know, anything to kind of get your interpretation of what you're
I thought that's what it was like, but like.
What's the future? Okay, so wait, is your future?
You want your
Is this future that's you guys are okay.
Oh, you
I see
today?
That's future. I thought.
And just write it down as we're saying. We're going to use one word.
Which actually.
I see what you're saying now. I see what you're saying. So you want to be the boss.
Moving on to the now photo, the now image, if you haven't already. No, you have to go around the room. So one person presents, and then everyone kind of says.
Something like the half those options.
Oh, fine. Okay. Okay, no problem. Now you know. Take a Whoever's presenting the picture, they're not talking. Sometimes you're not able to actually share your opinion. Sometimes people are going to judge without knowing you. Sometimes people are going to think you're a stereotype. You cannot speak when you're showing your picture, okay? I know it's going to be hard, but that is what you're going to encounter. You're like, if possible, let's move on to your script. If not, it's okay. You guys still have some minutes.
Are you an art teacher? Perkins.
We all here? Let us gather ourselves. We're gonna watch another scene from Friction. Once again, trigger warning, violence, police brutality. Okay. So at this point of the movie, her brother just got killed due to police brutality. And this kind of brings it all together, utilizing your voice. What do you want to say? Who do you want to be? So with the words that you've written down on your paper, I'm going to give you just a few minutes. Think about a letter to your voice, or a poem, or a story, using these words. We're using the words of other people's opinion of us and shape it into yourself. See yourself in those words and see who really got you, who figured that out. And I know it was probably hard. I'm sure all of you were talking during the activity as well. But as you see, you're not going to be able to defend yourself sometimes. You're not going to be able to speak. Things are going to restrict you. So it is so important to get to your future voice and to be comfortable with your now as well. So take a moment and just write a poem or a letter or a story to yourself. You can just start it. I'm going to play one more scene in just a few moments. You're going to have an opportunity to actually present this written work at a later time. I think it might be in your advisor meeting, or there's an after school club thing as well, and Liz and Skylar are going to let you know. So there are opportunities to share this work, so you don't have to write a poem right now, but just start it and really just kind of internalize and really feel, who do you want your voice to be? Continue to work on your poem or your story. I'm going to play another scene, and in this scene, let's see, same trigger words, same trigger warning. So go ahead and continue to work on it. Like I said, you don't have to finish it right now. You'll have time to present it at a later time. And then after we watch these scenes, I'll just end with some closing remarks. So basically, just to set it up, it's probably about a month after her brother's death, and Elle has not left her dorm room. And basically, the two leaders of the organization, JQ and Marco, they're doing their own version of a well check, and they have discovered that she's just been in her room, and now they're going to try to bring her out and bring someone to life. All right, a few things about that scene. I wanted to introduce how I kind of incorporated my influence of Spike Lee. Spike Lee is a huge filmmaker that I love and adore, and there's a lot of do the right thing influence in my film. So I wanted to show that scene just because I have this clip at the end of Do the Right Thing that's playing that shows MLK as well as Malcolm X, who are also huge influences in my life and in my work. Another theme that you saw here is Elle finally using her voice. We didn't see exactly what she said in that moment, but we do later on. So it kind of all ties together to everything that we're doing in the activity. And I just want to point out the influences that might be on your voice. Just because that was huge in Friction, she was influenced by everyone. And eventually when she did find her voice, it might have been too late. So, won't do any spoiler alerts. You guys should definitely see it if you're allowed to. It's on Amazon, which is great. Just had a fairy tale ending as an indie filmmaker. But more so, I think it's really important just to focus on the issue of not having your own voice and what that can do, how detrimental that is if you don't speak up for yourself as well as others. So I want to end by just bringing it back to the story of the little girl. Let's fast forward 15 years. So I'm 20 and my sister is 16. And she is, she was a sophomore at the time at Watkinson School. And she was getting a lot of knee pains. So like I said earlier, I had an ACL, MCL, and a meniscus tear. And I know what knee pains are. So she kept saying it. One time, I think it was one break from college, I was home. And she kept talking about, just to me, about her knee pains. She was only telling me about this. She didn't want to worry anyone else. We're one of 5, she's the baby. She's just confiding in me. And at some point I'm like, you need to get checked out. You have to actually go in. Let's see what it is. It might be an ACL tear, who knows? So I told my mom. I'm like, Mom, Precious, which is my little sister's name, she keeps having these knee issues. She doesn't want to bring it up because of what happened with me, and she doesn't want it to be a huge thing. She was sacrificing her own self, her own voice for others because she didn't want to disturb things that were happening. She didn't want to take away from the joy of, all of her siblings being home from college. Turns out my mom heard me, and she took my sister to my orthopedic provider, and it ended up being bone cancer. She had bone cancer in her knee, and if she didn't say anything to me, if I didn't say anything to my mom, who knows what could have happened. She's good. She's all good now. She has a prosthetic knee, and she's safe. She's all good. That was about 6-7 years ago. So the importance of your voice for yourself as well as others is literally life or death. I'll end up on that dramatic note. But But thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions, I think we just have maybe 1 minute right now for questions, if you have any. But just know that work on your voice poems, and you'll have an opportunity to present it later on. Any questions? It's kind of too late for them, but I'm here for you. Liz can give you my contact info as well. Definitely reach out. And yeah, happy MLK Day. And we thank you.